already noticed the division between coordinating, planning, designing. It's a kind of concept division, because all the elements of the project realization are interconnected. So when we speak about coordinating, it would refer to design and planning phase, and it would also be connected with monitoring and evaluation. So this is all interconnected. And of course, to coordinate the projects well, it is needed first to have a well-planned project. But I believe that we gave already some hints the last 2 days about how to plan and how to design projects. Today, coordination. In the first part of the morning session, we will be dealing with these four subjects that you can see at the moment. We will speak a bit about international partnership. I will tell a little bit about the project coordinator, the project partner perspective. I have already mentioned this on Tuesday, but it's like a recurring subject. So I will address it again in more detail. I know that also Marianna at the second part of the presentation would address this subject again, but I believe it's quite important to have it clear what those two perspectives are. I will speak also about some formal elements of project coordination, such as partnership agreement, and then a bit about transnational project meetings, those special occurrences in the projects when you have opportunity to meet your project partners in person. It will be a little bit about formalities today. Hope you don't think it's boring. For action people, sometimes formalities are boring, but the truth is that formalities are very helpful in international projects management, and it is your support at the project's realization. The international partnership. This is a possibility to confirm and secure the partnership. There is a letter of intent or mandate, whichever method you would choose. This is a way of confirming by the project partners that they are really interested to get involved in the common projects, and they agree for certain rules which will be applied at the level of designing the project and then at the level of the project realization. Mandate is a very simple template which is obligatory for Erasmus Plus programs. I will then show you an example, and it's just a formal requirement. You will not be able to submit an application without a mandate. But there are many programs where the mandate or intent letter are not required. They may be recommended, but they are not obligatory. But the recommendation is that you would have this document, because it really makes the cooperation like a bit more formal, so you may say a bit more serious. And it also names the most important regulations between the coordinator and the partners, so it's really useful. So what should the letter of intent contain? This more elaborated form of an agreement to do a project together before you submit the application. Obviously, these are the names of the partner organization, the contact details, and the name of the person entitled to represent each organization. These are the management body's members, as it is in your organizations. The letter of intent also defines the frames of the partnership, so the aim of the partnership, the project title. At this stage, you already usually have a project title, the co-financing source, just the frames in which you are planning to cooperate. Then it's worth to include the rules of cooperation and the areas of cooperation, to name the aim of the project, to name the main activities of the project, maybe the main outputs and results of the project. It's also good if the letter of intent would include the responsibilities of each partner. Obviously, this is all described in a project application, but the project application is usually quite a long document. It's nice to have something shorter, and the partner also confirms that he accepts the scope of responsibility and tasks he would be responsible for if the project is financed. The letter of intent also includes a declaration of signing a partnership agreement if the project is accepted for co-financing. This is a good to have, the partnership agreement. I will tell a bit more about it later. And this document is undersigned by the persons entitled to represent the organization with a place, date, and if it's required, you attach this letter of intent to your application. If it's not required, you just keep it in your documentation. Obviously, you don't need to send like traditional letters. It's enough if the signatures will be done at the organization and then the scan sent to you. And this is a document confirming and securing your partnership. For those of you who are beginners in the field and have never signed such a kind of document, I shall now show you an example of a mandate, just to give a picture how it looks like. This is like a draft mandate for the project that we are all participating in now. And this is a template that you will have access to if you decide to apply in Erasmus. As you can see, there is a title, so you need the title for the mandate. We have started the signing these cooperation agreements in January 2018, so it was some time ago. Here are the parties of the agreement, so the partner organization and the coordinator organization, and the foundation gets a mandate to apply in the name of the partner as well within the Erasmus Plus program to the Polish National Agency, so the funding body. And on the second page, you have that you accept all terms and conditions of a grant agreement. Grant agreement is the document that is signed at the level of signing when you already know that your project was accepted and it will be financed, and the grant agreement is being signed by usually the project coordinator. But it's good to know the terms and conditions in advance, because here you confirm you know what's in the grant agreement and you would follow the rules if the project is financed. The grant agreements are also templates, so you don't really have a say. You cannot propose any changes there. It's just a template. It's worth to read it in advance so you would know also your obligations, but you cannot do anything with that. You just agree to sign or not. Here you also declare that the coordinator is entitled to receive funds if the project is co-financed. This is the situation I already told about as well, that usually this is the coordinator who gets the project budget and then distributes the funding among the partners. This notion refers to double financing. I'm sure you are aware that it's not allowed to finance your activities from the same European or various European sources. So your activities cannot have double financing. So you cannot finance the same activities within Erasmus and, for example, Europe for Citizens. It will be considered as a breach of the law, so it is not allowed. And here you just confirm that you did not get financing for the same activities as planned in the project before. Exclusion refers to organizations which are in difficult financial situation, for example. This is just a declaration that you are working, operating, and everything is fine in the organization. And the signatures, and that's it. And the mandates are included to the application. So this is how it looks like. It's quite simple. It's a formality which needs to be done. Wow. Now I come back to my presentation and we may continue. I would just like to say that, of course, at the end of this presentation, there will be time for asking questions. You may already write the questions on the chat, or you may wait for the question time and write your questions there. An aspect which is important, in my opinion, I would like to tell about it, is the difference between a real partnership and a partnership just on the paper. Because some could think that, well, we have the letter of intent, then we will have the partnership agreement, so wonderful, everything is fine, and that's it. Well, this is not it. The real partnership is something more than signing documents and declarations to participate. Sometimes we meet people who think that, well, it's a wonderful opportunity to get extra financing. We need partners. Okay, we'll find some, we'll invite them because we need them, but for a formal reason, but okay, let's just have them and let's apply. Well, this is not a good approach. Because the quality of the partnership is also assessed at the level of the application assessment, and it's being checked and assessed if each partner is indispensable for reaching the project aims, which means that each partner brings something important, and the activities you plan will not be possible to realize without the whole partnership you have planned. So the partner's skills and competences need to be complementary and need to be necessary to do the project. And in the application, you also describe how did you find your partners, how did you start at cooperation, and what be the role of each project partners. The other important thing is that partnership is something else than subcontracting. Subcontracting usually is very limited in EU-funded projects. Subcontracting means that you just buy a service outside. The assumption is that most of the projects should be realized by the people in the organizations which apply for funding. You declare in the application that you have the professional staff who is able to deliver the project as it was described. Subcontracting may be sometimes needed because it happens that you don't have, for example, some technical specialist. For example, you need a lot of translations during the project, but you would rather hire an external translator to do it for you. Or you organize a conference or a show and you need like a technical service for this event. Here you are welcome to buy this service outside of the partnership, but you should not subcontract the main activities, and it's usually limited. So you cannot subcontract everything. But of course, subcontracting is not a partner position. Subcontractor has nothing to say in the project, it just delivers a service. And the partnership means joint responsibility, means interdependence, and means co-deciding about the project. So the partners have a say. They participate in making key decisions. It's usually being done by so-called management committees or steering committees. I will tell about it later. And it also means a partnership on the budget level. Obviously, when you start a project, each partner has a budget, but for example, it may happen that one of the partners will not be able to deliver all the work required, and the other partner would do the work instead. It means that the other partner will get some extra budget from the partner who couldn't deliver. This is a partnership approach, that you share responsibility and you cooperate because the common aim is to deliver the project together and deliver a project of high quality. Okay, I hope I convinced you that it's not worth to make a partnerships just on the paper. And now a little bit more about the coordinator and the project partner perspective, just to make these functions clear, more clear again. So in general, we already spoke about it. The project leader is also the organization that develops the project concept, invites and chooses the partners. There are also other solutions possible, that the applicant is different than the manager. It's not always the same, but usually it is so that applicant is also a coordinator. Sorry, I see some streaming problems. The internet connection is fine on my side. It may be the reason of internet connection. Hopefully it will get better. All right, coming back to the project leader, if the partners are already chosen, the leader usually runs also the process of developing the project and the project application, then undersigns the grant agreement and gets the grant and distributes it among the other partners, manages the project, and finally develops and submits the final report, and probably in the midterm submits some interim reports. The project partner receives and consults the project concept, may accept or refuse an invitation, may accept or refuse the application agreement I spoke about on Tuesday. When you don't accept application agreement, usually it means that you will not be a partner, but it may be your choice. Participates in the project development process and the application development process and signs the mandate or letter of intent. Here I recommended on Tuesday that the cooperation at the project design would be partner cooperation with exchange of information and experiences and ideas, because it makes, I believe, better projects. If the project is financed, undersigns the partnership agreement and then is responsible for a specific part of the project, and obviously also consults and cooperates with other partners and participates in developing the reports. This is in general. On the coordination stage, what does the leader and what does the partner? The project leader is responsible for monitoring if the project is being implemented as it should be. If there are any disturbances or problems, the coordinator starts reaction, searches for solutions. Acts as an intermediary for all communication between the beneficiaries and the co-financing institution, because the coordinator is the signatory of the grant agreement and has so-called project officer in the co-financing institution. The coordinator may always contact the financing institution if there are any questions or doubts, or if the institution requires some information or some documents from you. This is the coordinator who is responsible for this communication. The coordinator also requests and reviews any documents or information provided by the partners, which are then required to deliver to the co-financing institution. This is especially the case for the more complex projects where, for example, you have a detailed budget and you need to report finances quite strictly. So here maybe some extra flow of information required, but of course the coordinator and leader is also responsible for reporting the deliverables, the outputs, results. They are sometimes uploaded to some management system. There are some results platforms where the outputs you produce needs to be uploaded. It's usually also the responsibility of the coordinator. And obviously ensures that all payments are made to the other beneficiaries without unjustified delay. This is related to the fact that this is the leader who receives the budget, and according to the agreement made and described in the partnership agreement, the leader refunds or otherwise distributes the funding among the partners. When it comes to the project partner, you just are required to do your job in the project to deliver the outputs, results you are expected to deliver, high quality and on time, and to cooperate with the other partners, obviously. You are also required to inform the coordinator immediately of any changes of the legal data, because it may imply some amendments to the grant agreement. So it's really important that all the data concerning, for example, the address or legal representation would be up to date. There is a special paragraph about it in the grant agreement every time, so it's clearly listed what you should inform about. It's also very nice of the partner and professional if the partner informs the coordinator if there are any circumstances which may cause a delay in implementation of the project. This is like a common enterprise. You are all responsible for the final result. It happens that there are delays. It happens that there are some challenges, and it needs to be addressed as soon as it appears, so not to disturb the realization of the project. The partners is also obliged to submit to the coordinator in good time any documentation or materials required. It should be all listed in the partnership agreement. It is also a reference to it in grant agreement, so it would be clear what you are supposed to deliver. In a project such as, for example, Erasmus, it's not so much like formalities. You just deliver outputs, results, and some given documentation of the job done. In the projects, when there are detailed budgets, there may be more financial documentation, but it's all clear from the beginning who should deliver what and when. And there is a very nice sentence in the mandate you have already seen some time ago, which says that the partner accepts that his organization will do everything in its power to help the coordinator fulfill its obligations under the grant agreement. And I believe it captures the and it summarizes the partner's role quite well. Speaking of which, the partnership agreement, I have already referred to this subject. Now, some more details. What should the partnership agreement contain? This is just a document describing terms of cooperation in the partnership. Usually, it's not obligatory, so nobody would check if you have it or not. You don't have to have it. But of course, it's a great recommendation to have the partnership agreement because it describes the rules of cooperation clearly. It's one document undersigned by the management bodies members of the organization. So it ensures that the management is also aware of what is being done, how is it going to be done, and what are the obligations of the organization. And this is a reference document you can always call to if there are any doubts or any troubles in the project realization. You may ask, well, I'm a lucky person. In the projects I've been involved in, I did not encounter any serious disturbances, so I didn't need to really refer to a partnership agreement because of some problems, but I know organizations that had some troubles, and then the partnership agreement is a document which may help. But of course, this is a remedy, but of course, the main purpose is clear definition of the terms of cooperation. There's no template for this document, nothing I know about. Sometimes there are some recommendations with what should this document include, but you create it yourself, which means that you decide which will be described there. What it should include, the minimum, obviously, these are the aims of the partnership, including the title, the co-financing source, the period of the project realization. These are the frames of the project. Internal organization of the partnership, it's just defining the organizations who are participating in the project, so it would be clear who is involved. Task and the responsibilities of the project leader. It could be exactly this information that I presented on my previous slide, what the leader is responsible for. Responsibilities of the project partners. An idea for this was also presented. Then there are the tasks and responsibilities of the project partners. If the application is accepted, you already know what should be done. You have all those work packages, or the project phases. The responsibility is clear. It is divided between the partners, and it should be reflected in the partnership agreement, which partners is responsible for which part of work. And of course, the fact that the others are corresponsible. Rules of internal communication and information flow. This is also an important element, especially because international partnerships are dispersed partnerships, which are working far from each other. So the communication, like face-to-face, is a challenge. So it's good to define some rules for cooperation here. You would have some projects meetings when you meet in person, but there are not so many project meetings. So it's a good practice also to have some regular, for example, Skype conferences or other online meetings. Here you also sometimes describe rules for email communication, name the contact persons. It makes the communication much easier. The rules of decision making in the partnership, very important issue. When there is an important decision to make, who does it? Usually it's organized this way, that there is a so-called steering committee or management committee funded at the first meeting. And in this body, there are representatives of all the partners. And this is the internal body which is entitled to make project-related decisions. As I said, usually the decisions are being made on the meetings, but sometimes there is a need to make a decision remotely. So it's good to have it described. How do you do, for example, in an email communication? Distribution of EU funding and financial management rules, including the rules for payments to the partners. Here we just define the budget each partner has in the project, which is obviously clear if the project is accepted. Here you also define how shall the coordinator distribute the funding, which means how would you agree in the partnership. Usually there are no rules here, you decide. The safest way from the coordinator's point of view may be that you refund the costs to the partners, which means that the partners need to pay for what they do, what the staff is doing themselves. And after the job is done and properly documented, the coordinator refunds the costs to the project partners. Sometimes the agreement looks like this, that the coordinator pays some kind of preliminary payment to the partners, so to make it easier for the financial flow, so they would have some project money at the very beginning. It should be clearly defined in the partnership agreement, and I believe it's also worth to mention all the documentation needed for costs refunding, even if it's described elsewhere. It's worth to mention it also here, so the rules would be clear for everyone. We all need to run some kind of accountancy, but in various countries the scope of financial documentation may differ. So at the beginning of the project, the rules must be clear for all the partners, so you would be prepared to document your work properly. The rules for internal monitoring and correctness control. I spoke about the monitoring as a main task of the project coordinator. This is the process of control if you are approaching to reaching the project aims, if you work according to the timetable, if it's enough money for what you do, if the activities are delivered according to the plan, if there are any troubles or changes needed, the changes are being implemented. It's worth to know that the co-financing institution is an important stakeholder and your partner, because it's also important for them that the project would be a success. Nobody wants to give back or cut the financing for the projects. So the changes are absolutely possible to implement. It's just worth to remember that the major changes need approval from the co-financing institution. The small adjustments can be done in the partnership by yourselves, and the conditions in which case you need to inform co-financing institution about the changes is described in the grant agreement. So again, everything is clear. You just need to have a look to the documents. The legal representation and the signatory of the document is important, because this is the person entitled to making legally binding decision for the organization. If this person changes, the agreement should be amended, and in some cases the co-financing institution should be informed. So if you have annual meeting and you change your board, sometimes it may be required to make this amendment. And there are also some other points that could be included in the partnership agreement, like a chapter about liability, indemnification and confidentiality, settlement of disputes and applicable law, or termination of the agreement. Obviously, the partnership agreement can be amended if it's needed. You can make changes in it. And usually it includes annexes. The typical annexes are the application, the project application, the project budget, detailed budget, the timetable. Also, it's a good idea to have a grant agreement as an annex, so it would be clear what are the rules of cooperation and communication with the co-funding institution. One more word about the termination of the agreement. It's worth to know that it's possible to exchange a partner in the partnership. It happens very rarely, so do not worry, it happens very rarely, but sometimes it may happen that the partner does not deliver in the project what should be delivered, or deliver an input of a low quality. And for this situation, it's worth to have a chapter in the partnership agreement when you describe what the coordinator is entitled to do if the partner does not deliver. Usually, this is that the coordinator tries to communicate with the partner first, try to improve the situation, but if it's not possible, the partner may be just removed from the project, and you may invite the other partner or do the remaining work among the partners who will be still there. So I would like to conclude with such a conclusion that You should not be aware of any changes on the level of project realization because there are risks Aaron told about yesterday. There are changes in the external situation you need to adjust. Sometimes there are changes in the partnership needed. It is all possible to implement. You don't need to worry about it. It's good to have a document which would regulate on which terms the changes in the project, in the partnership could be introduced. And now the very attractive part of the project, at least for me, this is a very attractive part of the project, which are the transnational project meetings or just the project meetings. These are the rare occasions during the project when you can meet in person, face to face. Usually the European projects are quite long. It may last 2 years, 3 years. The meetings, the meetings are not oftenly organized. It's usually once half a year. It's great if you could meet in all the partner countries which are involved in the project, if only possible. And what are the meetings for? You may ask. Everything could be done online, maybe. I believe it will be really difficult without partner meetings, because you are working in the international projects in dispersed project teams. You are located in various countries. In Europe, we have, like, let's say, a common cultural base, but still, we are a bit culturally different, and also we work in organizations with various organizational culture, which makes the cooperation challenging. So the meetings are great tools and great occasions to talk in person, to explain and clarify any unclarities which may happen, to revise the work that has already been done, to plan the next steps of the project realization, to celebrate the success. I assume that the project is going well, and it's good to be happy about a successful project realization, to give feedback on the activities realized, on the cooperation with the partners, just to spend some time together. And therefore, the project meeting is quite a powerful tool that should be used wisely. Here you can see a little division. Kick-off meeting is presented separately because it's quite a special meeting. Kick-off is the first meeting of the international partners, organized at the very beginning of the project realization. Usually it's being organized by the project coordinator or the project leader. And the aim of this meeting is to meet the partners face to face, to introduce the key persons involved in the project. Usually it's the project coordinator from each partner organization and a key specialist. Here you also agree on the tools of communication and information exchange. Here it's a time to discuss in detail and step by step the project activities, to clarify all doubts and to in detail plan the first phase of the project realization. Here you may also discuss the dissemination strategy, the evaluation of the project, to review the partners' responsibilities and deadlines. And here is the space to establish the project management committee or the steering committee, however you would call it. This is the group with representation of each of the partners, which is taking the key decisions for the partnership. And here is also the space to sign the partnership agreement. If there are present legal representatives of the organization, it can be signed at the meeting. If from some partners there are no legal representatives, it can be done after the meeting, but at kickoff there is a time to review the partnership agreement, to check if everything is clear, to adjust. Obviously, it's a good practice that those documents which will be discussed at the kickoff meeting or any meeting will be sent to the partners in advance. So it would be a time to read and to get prepared, not to hand them just on the meeting. So kickoff meeting is only one. Then you have hopefully several other project meetings. And in general, the aim of those meetings is to review the work done, to plan the next steps of the project realization, to clarify all doubts or all things that may be still unclear, to discuss the challenges and find solutions if there are any challenges in the project. It's a space to discuss them and talk about them. Also to exchange experiences, tell how was it going for you in the project for the last period from the last meeting. This is also a place to make decisions because you meet all together, the most involved persons, and here is the space to meet to make decisions. And of course, just to meet in person, just to talk, just to spend some time together, just to experience some nice lunch, dinner, some touristic or cultural activity, just to be together for a moment, to speak in person and to learn each other as persons, not just virtual specialists in the project. Because the partner meetings are so rare and usually quite short, the typical partner meeting is a day, then a day and a half, 2 days maximum. The meetings should be well planned, so you would be able to really use the time devoted for the meeting. The plan of the meeting is described in so-called agenda of the meeting, and this document is usually created by the host of the meeting and should be distributed among the partners in advance. It would be nice if you could do it a month ahead of the meeting, at least 2 weeks ahead of the meeting. What should such an agenda include? Obviously, this is the time and the place of the meeting, like when it starts, when it ends, where will it be held, so the partners could plan their travel, their accommodation. Also organizational information. It's nice to include information about travel arrangements, accommodation possibilities, about some cultural or touristic events you are planning, because partners may also ask you for advice how to best get to your place, where to best to stay, not to be very far from the meeting place. For the extra events, for example, FIE is located in Bielsko-Biała, south of Poland, close to the mountains, so we sometimes take our partners to the mountains. So we usually write that you should take a comfortable shoes with you, so we could have a stroll in the mountains. The agenda also includes the participants with contact details like an email or phone number. It may happen that a participant will not reach the meeting on time, then you need to be able to contact this person and ask. Maybe there is some support needed. And these are the technical things and the essentials. These are the goals of the meeting, which should be clear. Expected outcomes of the meeting, which should also be clear. What is expected to be done related to the project during the meeting. And then the course of the days, which is quite a detailed plan of the day. So each partner would know who does what. As I said, usually at the regular project meetings, you just report the work done, you plan the work to be done. So usually the partners responsible for certain packages of work report their work or say about their plans, they are being discussed. It needs to be clear who presents what and when, how much time do you have. So everyone would be able to get prepared to the meeting in advance. As I said, meetings are short, meetings are rare, so it's worth to use that time well. Yeah. One more thing, or maybe I will say it now. Fine. So agenda is the document which is distributed before the meeting. This is the plan of the meeting with some practical information. The agenda is being sent well in advance, and it's being consulted by the partners. If any partner believes there should be something more added to the meeting, you may propose and it may be included into the agenda. The minutes is the document which is an effect of a meeting, which is being created after the meeting. But while at the meeting, there are two functions very important to have. So why do we need the chairman or chairwoman, and why do we need the meeting reporter? Well, at any meetings you participate, every one of us have experience in participating in meetings of various quality and various quality of effects. So you have this experience. Chairman or chairwoman is good to elect at the beginning of the meeting, and this is the person moderating the meeting. So keeping the time, checking if everything was discussed, checking if everything was clear. This function is very, very useful, and it's really good to have a chairman and chairwoman to really have a well-organized and good flow of the meeting. And what happens on the meeting should be noted down. And this is the function of a meeting reporter. Normally, no one wants to be a reporter because you write all the time. But this function is essential because I can guarantee that if you won't have minutes from the meeting after a week, 2 weeks, you will not remember anything. And the meetings are an important internal document when you have, first of all the decisions taken listed, but also there could be some ideas described, some plans described, which are important for the next steps of the project realization, and which are just approved that the meeting took place and you spent the time effectively and you reached your goals. The level of detail of the meetings varies. In some models, they are just the participants and decisions listed. From my point of view, a bit more detailed minutes are justified because here you have a record of a piece of work, which is really useful for the next stages. So the typical meeting would include, again, time and place when the meeting took place, would list the participants, would list the goals and expected outcomes of the meetings, would give a short overview of the course of the meeting. So what was discussed, what was proposed, or what were the ideas, and finally lists all the decisions taken. This is important for the next stage of the project realization. And obviously, what I would like to say, the meetings are important. This is a management tool, and you should have a merits meeting when you really discuss the project and your plans and future activities. But it's worth to remember that the meeting is also a space just to meet, just to be together for some time, just to do something attractive together. So please make sure you will have time for coffee breaks, you will invite your partner to a nice place to have a dinner, that you maybe show the city, that you also create a space for more personal contacts between the partners. I guess on Friday you get an assignment about planning a perfect meeting, so you will have a chance to practice and to write down some ideas how the meeting could look like. The last thing I would like to say today are the two perspectives of those two main actors of international projects, so the management body members and project managers. I am aware that in many civil society organizations, this is the same person. But there are also bigger organizations where the management are different people than the managers. And here it's important that you would have some kind of clear rules of cooperation between yourselves at the level of a project realization. So the management body members serve as legal representatives of the organization, while the project manager is just a representative of the organization in the project, responsible for implementing a project or a part of a project correctly. The management body's members should be informed about the status of the project, of course, because they are responsible for whole organization, while the project manager is responsible for realizing the project correctly. The management body's members makes legally binding decision, which means that, for example, if there would be an amendment to the grant agreement needed because you introduce some essential changes in the project, it will be the person entitled to legal representation who would undersign the amendment. Yes, the manager role would be to prepare the amendment and to explain everything. An important aspect is to support the project manager at the project realization. You may remember that on the opening session, I told about the research phase we did in this project. And there was a report published on successes and challenges, and also on the support needed by the project managers. The research clearly shows that this support is expected, but it is rarely offered. And the reason is not a bad will of management bodies members, but rather the specificity of the civil society functioning, when usually you would need more people than you have. You would need more money for salaries than you have. And sometimes those shortages make a challenge. Our research shows that the main thing that the project manager need are usually people and time. So extra staff to the project team or extra time for doing the project tasks. Of course, the time issue can be solved when you have extra people who could support you. So this is important, that the project manager would have a support in the organization and also inform about a need of support. Do not try to be heroes who do everything on your own. Just ask for the support and cooperate to get the support at the project realization. And of course, how you would agree, the project manager and the organization manager, on the terms of cooperation, it depends absolutely on you, on the culture of the organization. There are no rules for that. It's just a good communication and agreement in the organization, which may help and support in your work. All right, I guess this is all I wanted to say this morning. Now it's time for questions. I shall now switch for the question mode. Hopefully I will manage it better than on Tuesday. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. So I will wait a bit. I saw some people writing, so if there will be any questions, I shall answer, and then we shall continue. Okay. Natalia asks, could you rephrase again the minutes meeting? It's some kind of summary meeting or for the future partnership meeting? Minutes is the document which is being created after the meeting. It's just a kind of report from the meeting. You may say a meeting report. When you describe what happened on the meeting. which decisions have been taken, and also what were the aims of the meeting, who participated, where the meeting took place. And obviously the minutes are needed for the next steps of the project realization, because they describe the plans for future activities. I believe it's important to mention that usually when you are reporting the project and reporting the project meetings, for example, in Erasmus, the financing institution may ask you to show your minutes. Just it's a kind of documentation that the meeting took place. So this is the case. Minutes are important for you internally, but also are important for the documentation of the project. I hope I answered. A question from Eva. What if our partner fails, doesn't do its job? Are there any consequences? Well, yeah, there may be consequences if you plan the consequences, and obviously you should plan the consequences. If a partner doesn't do its job, the partner should just not be paid for the job which wasn't done, and obviously the job must be done by someone else. So it's good to describe what happens in this case in the partnership agreement. You may just plan that the coordinator tries to contact the partner who doesn't deliver and try to learn what's up, what can be done. If nothing can be done, the job must be given to some other partner, because this is the job that must be done. And the partner just will not get paid for the job. And if the partner fails to realize the project, you may just say goodbye to the partner. Yes, you are entitled to remove a partner from the project and ask another partner, or do the remaining work with the partnership that you already have. Those consequences are especially possible if you apply this refunding method of budget distribution, which means that you don't pay the partners parts of their budget in advance, but you only pay when the job is done and properly documented. It may be a challenge for a smaller organization which may not have like financial resources to cover the costs themselves, but these situations may be regulated individually. If you have, for example, one partner who says we have a weak financial liquidity, you can agree just with one partner as a coordinator that he will get some prepayment, for example. So your internal cooperation rules are between you. Nobody will check it. Nobody will suggest you what to do. It's good to have a partnership agreement which describes what happens, for example, if the partner doesn't do its job. And fortunately or unfortunately, the financial aspect of management is quite helpful here from the coordinator's part of view. Okay, this is not a question. I'm sorry, there were technical problems. Here I have a question from Magda. You have presented one version of the mandate. Is there an important difference between this one and the one to be downloaded from the Erasmus e-forms? What I have presented was the Erasmus Plus mandate, but this was the template from 2018. As far as I am aware, the template changed a little bit for 2020, and obviously you can download the template from the Erasmus e-forms. It's important to remember that when you sign the mandate, just make sure you have the most recent version. So you would not include the old version. It may be regarded as a formal mistake at the application stage. But the template will be always available for you if you are a project applicant, and you can check the most recent updated version, and you should use the most recent and updated version of the mandate. Here is a question from Bernadette. When one of our partners will be changed, of any reasons, how much time do we have to replace it? Wow, this is a really challenging situation when you need to change a project partner. How much time do you have? Usually you have time you can introduce, because a partner change implies a change in the grant agreement. Usually all the changes to the grant agreement may be made a month or 2 months before the project ends. It means this is the time you have. You have to be ready with the partner change 2 months before the project ends latest, or month before the project ends latest. It all will be all detailed in the grant agreement when you can introduce the last changes or amendments. So from the formal point of view, this is the time you have. And from the partnership perspective, of course, if there is a problem with a partner, it's good to react as fast as possible, because of course there will be job to be done which nobody would do. So as fast as possible, you need to give the job to some other partner to have the project flow working. So as fast as possible. Of course, it's good to have a time, to take a time to try to communicate with this troublemaking partner and check what's up and try to correct the situation if possible. But if you see it isn't likely that the situation gets better, it's better just to react as fast as possible. Okay. Here I have another question from Julia. The EU Commission could take any measures in the partnership, decide to remove a partner from the consortium, for example, less points in the final evaluation on some funds cuts. Yes, the EU Commission could take measures, but not because you remove a partner, but because you do not do a part of job that was supposed to be done. So if you remove a partner, but you would do your job as planned, there will be no reason to do any financial cuts. So this is really a challenge for the partnership itself to make sure that the work planned would be done even without this partner or with some new partner. The co-financing institution must be informed about it, because, as I said, this would imply amendment to the grant agreement. So the co-financing institution must be informed. But if you do your job, there's no reason for cutting your funds. If you do your job a little bit worse or worse quality than expected, there may be some cuts on the final evaluation stage, of course, but it's the matter how you deal with that. But as I said, the co-financing body is not really interested in cutting your funds, because they would have problems themselves. So they would be rather interested to support you, to help you to handle this situation. But the main responsibility is on the side of the partnership to make sure that the job will be done, and there is no reason to cut funds. It may also happen that it will not be possible to do everything which was expected, and in this case, there may be some cut of funds, but it does not really happen oftenly. You must have done really something serious failure to have your budget done. So the recommendation is, please treat your co-funding institution as an important stakeholder. Have a good communication and contact with your project officer. Give him or her know if there are any troubles, because the people are there to help you, and the partnership is there to help you, to support you, and to do the job planned. All right. I see no more questions. I will just wait 1 more minute. I will check what time should I finish. All right, I should finish already. Okay, but I see no more questions. If there will be any, they may be answered also in the afternoon. So I'm coming back to my presentation. Concerning the assignment, there will be no assignment from my side today because you will get quite a challenging assignment from Marianna in the second part of this presentation about budgeting. So you will hear about it in the second part of the presentation. So I say thank you to you, invite you for a coffee break, even if we cannot offer you coffee. You must do it yourselves. I will meet you at 3 p.m. and Marianne will meet you at 11. So now there is a break by 11 o'clock and we meet at 11 o'clock. Thank you very much and see you in the afternoon, and here you meet Marianne at 11.